Hi, it's Scott with Zenvi AI. Welcome to the Systems Are Sexy podcast. Today, I am joined by Kyle Clarkson. He's the founder of Legacy Realty in the greater Des Moines area. Kyle has spent more than 20 years helping buyers, sellers, and investors navigate the central Iowa housing market. His team is known for their client first approach and consistent results even through shifting markets. So, we're going to talk today about what's happening in the Midwest housing market, how Kyle keeps his team sharp in a competitive environment, and where he sees the biggest opportunities for agents to use technology. So, Kyle, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know we were chatting. You've been in the real estate for 2 decades now, and you've got Legacy and Clarkson Realty Group. So, what makes you so passionate about real estate?
Third generation real estate agent. So been around it my entire life. My grandfather brought the Century 21 franchise, to the Des Moines area. My dad, who is still licensed 45 years now in real estate. So I don't know that I had a choice, growing up being around it, but I kind of did. I was a youth pastor at a church for about 5 years afterwards. And I'm like, okay, what is next? And I went and had that conversation with my dad and like, hey, I think I want to get into real estate. And fortunately, he's like, oh, yeah, I think you do a great job. And I kind of took me under his wing when I started. And I was 2004, a long time now. And my business has ebbed and flowed, and some good, some bad. And right now, the market here is not too bad and seeing a lot of growth.
That's great. Yeah, one of the goals of the podcast is to talk about that because I feel like there's a lot of people out there just saying everything is amazing, but it's nice to be honest and have those conversations that hey, there's up days too. So, I know one of the things that we had chatted about and on your website, you talk about client first philosophy. Where every client is treated as your only one, and it's not a number. I'm wondering how do you build that mindset not into yourself but also into your team as you guys have grown.
I think it starts with, a lot of times in real estate, we have this idea there's not enough to go around. And I think one of the things we talk about often is just an abundance mindset that there's plenty to go around. We can help each other in that journey. And so I think it starts with us first as a team. We got a great relationship with each other, understand we're here to help each other. There's some friendly competition for sure, but we're most of the time not competing with each other. So I think it starts with a relationship within the team and then building those relationships with our clients that we're interacting with on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think that's important, because I feel like you can kinda have that scarcity mindset, but if, like, money is abundant, it's out there, it's just you gotta be willing to go out there and get it. I mentioned about being in Iowa in the Midwest, and I'm wondering, you kinda touched on it, but how is the market in Iowa now, maybe how it was different maybe 2 to 3 years ago?
Yeah, I just came from a convention last weekend. It was interesting just talking to some agents, and I was talking to an agent from Connecticut, like, oh, we have a inventory shortage. And that kind of blew my mind. Like, oh yeah, we're still getting multiple offers, and there's not enough. And our inventory here, I think today in our local MLS, which is Central Iowa, we're largest MLS in Iowa. There's about 4,400 homes for sale, and I'm been in it long enough to remember 8, 9, and 10 when there were 6,600, and yet recently COVID had got down to about 1,600, and so you can kind of see we're somewhere in the middle there. Certainly nothing like it was 20 and 21 and beginning of 22 when multiple offers and appreciation probably saw 20 to 30% over that time period. And I think part of the problem is we look and what we experienced there, and now we feel now what we're in. It's like, wow, it feels really slow when it's more normal here, at least locally. I wouldn't say it's an amazing market by any means, but more normal pre-COVID, type market that we're in right now.
Yeah, you had mentioned COVID. Have you guys noticed a shift, maybe because it's due to remote work or lifestyle shifts that people are prioritizing anything differently, like whether it's location or home features, community amenities?
I mean, we certainly saw that during COVID. I think people, at least here in Des Moines, are starting to go back to work. Uh, Two of our largest employers, recently at Principal and Wells Fargo, I think we're the two, but where most of their employees now are at least that had been fully remote are going back in part or full time. And so I think that, that lifestyle or work shift about working from home is kind of shifted the other way now. And maybe it's now normal. I don't know what you'd call it, but people are shifting going back into the office. So that home office, probably not as big a deal as it was a few years ago. Certainly some people still need it, but not to the extent.
One of the goals of the podcast really is to for people to learn how to scale and how people have done that. And I'm wondering, you have a large team. What systems or processes have you put in place to make sure you guys are staying consistent and organized as you bring on new agents, but also the team that you have in place currently?
Yeah, I think the right pieces in place. I want to go out and meet with people. I mean, same thing in my real estate business on a personal level. We talked about it earlier, but building a relationship. I think why I saw some success as a real estate agent is because I developed those personal relationships. And now, as our team and company has grown, told you this a little before we started, but less than 2 years ago, we were a team of 20, and now we have 160 agents, in the greater Des Moines market. And that wasn't because we had we're going to run these ads or, whatever it might be. It was because we had build personal relationships. And those personal relationships, 90% of the people that made a change to join us was because myself or others within our company had those personal relationships. So it wasn't some great recruiting campaign, but just developing those relationships. And you go from the onboarding or getting them, I've got an onboarder, I've got an operations manager. We run a lot of online leads. And so I've got a lead director. And so all those things are in place. So when new agent comes, I mean, a new agent joined us this past week, and she gets in there. She's talking to our marketing person, getting her signs and her business cards. She's talking to our onboarder, and we use Lofty for CRM and website. So Connie, who's our onboarder, is helping her get up and running, and Adeline is our operations manager, making sure she's got our contracts, getting her into dot loop, all that good stuff. And so we have that process in place now. So when new agent Julie here joins, she's up and running. We don't miss a beat. She's off and selling.
Right. You had mentioned leads. What's been the most consistent form of leads right now? Obviously, referrals is important for you guys, but online leads, what's working for you in that regard?
Yeah, I love the agent archetype, and I remember seeing this for the first time, and I was drawn to it. And it's you got a marketer, you got a prospector, you got a converter, and you got a networker. And so depending on who you are and your personality and how you operate, you got to gravitate towards one of those two or one of those four. And so for me, I remember seeing that the first time. I'm like, I'm a converter. Like if you put me in front of somebody, I'm going to convert. And a converter is someone who works the online lead space, Zillow, Realtor.com, good at open houses. And so when I saw that the first time, I'm like, oh, I'm a converter. I'm going to build my business around that because that's who I am. And I think as I recruit agents, and if they're going to see success in our system, they're going to be like-minded, like skill set. And so we really, for my team, doubled down on like, okay, we're converters. And if we're a converter, what are we going to do? And so we look at that, and then we talk about 5 spokes, 5 different ways in which you're generating leads. If I'm a prospector, which I'm not a prospector, if I am, well, that's for sale by owner, buyer listing, door knocking. If I'm a marketer, I'm going to dive into socials and video. If I'm a networker, and we all should do a little networking, our SOI should always be one of those 5 spokes I just talked about. But I'm going to do coffees, and I'm going to do pop-bys. I'm going to do client parties. In the converter space, well, open houses should be something I do. Zillow is a big one for us. We've done Realtor.com. We do Movoto, but these different online lead sources that are coming in, and then we hone our skills around that. So for me and my team, we're a team of converters. And as we build out our 5 spokes, like those are the things you're going to find on it. And so, we went from 30 to 60 to 90 to 150, 200. And we have a goal of 500 this year. We're currently at 430 closed and pending. So we got some work to get there here in the last couple of months, but we've seen tremendous growth. We doubled our business probably the last 3 years in what's been a down market.
I talk to agents. A lot of them mention their biggest pain points are staying consistent with follow up and converting online leads. How have you guys done that? What's worked for you?
Our friend is our CRM. I talk about Lofty. So we have Lofty for our company, but my team actually uses Follow Up Boss. And so I was talking to my operations manager and lead director today. I'm like, okay, let's hone this follow up plan. Specifically, we were talking about Zillow leads today. Like, okay, we've got, I think it's 36 different touch points in this plan. And so within that, some of them are calls, text, email. Some of them are, set and forget, and some are reminders to us as agents. Like, oh, I need to text that person. I need to email that person. And, we have the mindset of we're going to stay on that lead until they, we talk about the buy die restraining order thing, but we're going to stay on that lead until they make one of those decisions. And if they tell us to get lost, then, then maybe we'll leave them alone at that point. But if you would look at we have a calendar set up, and it's a team calendar. And if I show you and pull up this calendar right now, you're going to see in the morning that every one of our agents is on this. You have to have 5 follow up from, it will say in there, Zillow or Movoto lead follow up. And we believe it got to be in your calendar. It doesn't exist, but that's part of the morning routine is that follow up.
Have you guys experimented with tools that use AI or automation?
Yeah, we just, it's called House Whisperer is what we just signed up for as a team, which part of that is they are integrated into FUB. And so that's been a new venture for us, but we're about 60 to 90 days. I actually took a poll of my agents the other day. I'm like, hey, she's my best friend. I use her sometimes. I'll use her. And it's mixed. There's some people that are jumping in and using House Whisperer, probably maybe not to its full potential, but definitely using it. And there's some that are getting to use it, and there's some that just struggling to buy in and jump into it. But yeah, we've used House Whisperer.
Could you explain what that tool is?
Yeah, I get a text from, well, I named her Alexa, but I'll get a text in the morning like, hey, here are your appointments for the day. I talk to her. She'll jump into FUB. She can do updates within FUB. She's in my calendar, so she knows what's going on. So it's just connected to FUB and allows us to use AI for updating our CRM, which is Follow Up Boss.
So, if you could wave a magic wand and automate one part of your business, maybe it's something that's repetitive that you don't like doing, what would that be?
Me or my team? Like I'm in recruiting mode right now, and like I'm looking for agents that would be a good cultural fit that maybe buy into what we do. And I was just with my marketing gal a little bit ago, and I'm like, okay, I need a different spreadsheet for this. Like all these, and I need to probably get them in Follow Up Boss as well. But I've got all these agents that I've connected with over the last 2 years in this spreadsheet. So just I need that automated in my life where, again, it comes back to what we were talking about Follow Up Boss. Sometimes there might be some automatic, and then sometimes it's like, Kyle, you need to reach out to, Sally today and have that conversation. And so for me, that's my biggest pain point that needs automated today.
Okay. Is kind of, the future of real estate, there's always talk about how technology and how that affects real estate industry, which has been always traditionally a very human touch. And I'm wondering, how do you think it's going to evolve as technology becomes more integrated into the real estate space? Is it exciting or is it scary?
Well, we don't have a choice. So you can be excited or scared, but I think you've got to embrace it. I remember my first listing appointment when I had heard of Zillow. I'm sitting across the table from this seller, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever heard of Zillow?" And I hadn't. I'm like, "No, I haven't." And he pulls it up and shows it to me. I'm like, "Well, that's pretty cool." And I remember when Zillow and other players like that came along, the agent became very nervous. Like, "Oh, well, why are they going to need us? They get all the information they need from Zillow and Realtor or whatever site." But what has not gone away is that human element and that human touch. Like I am physically going and sitting in front of your table, and I am showing you this property and opening the door, and we're going through and we're talking through like the real human element that touched it. I just don't think it's going to go away. And so you look at things, it's easy to get nervous about AI coming into play, but I think we're of the mindset like, let's not be scared. Let's embrace it. How can it improve our business? And how can we better serve the client using AI? And so that's what we're trying. I mean, House Whisper is a perfect example. Like, let's not run from it. Let's embrace it because it's not going away.
Yeah, I was wondering because I do speak with agents quite a bit, and I think some of them are a little intimidated by it because it's a little overwhelming. And I'm wondering what you think separates agents who are going to thrive in this kind of new market versus ones that are going to struggle.
Yeah, I think maybe that remains to be seen. I was at that real estate conference this week, and they had 3 different like certifications. So you're going to be certified of move up. We're going to move up the price point. We're going to have a personal touch one, and one of them, the whole certification was on AI in real estate. I think again, come back to the mindset. I got to embrace it or I'm going to get left behind. And as hard as that might be for agents that maybe have done it a certain way for a long time, myself included, I got to be ready and embrace that change or I will get left behind.
I mentioned about scaling, and obviously you've scaled it to a very large brokerage. If there's somebody out there listening right now that maybe they've got 3 agents or 6 agents and they want to get to where you're at? What I don't know, maybe it's more than just a simple answer, but what's some advice you would give to somebody like that?
Again, we built our team. I'm a converter, and I knew as I generated leads that I would always have like a bench. And here's our agents we've got. Here's where I want to be. And I knew if I had a bench set up, then I could afford or bring in more leads than I did before. So for a converter, I think it's easy because it's all lead generated. If it's somebody who's a networker, if it's somebody who's a marketer, it becomes a little more tricky. Like you can recruit, and I come back to the relationship part, you can recruit to that, but retaining becomes the difficult part. You know, I look at my top 5 agents and they've all been with me for 4 plus years. And they're doing, my top one on my team is doing 55 deals a year. And why she's still on my team with a split that is below what she could go get, it's because she's still receiving a lot of leads and she's building her SOI through these leads that are coming in. And so I think I could build a team through any of those. I think it becomes easier to retain a team when there's no, I don't think there's any greater value than a lead that I can go work with that's actually going to generate business and bring money into my family.
So if someone's interested, maybe learning about whether they're in Iowa or just learning about how you've grown your business, what's the best way to learn more about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, Clarkson Realty Group is a great way. That's our team on there. My cell phone, 515-554-2249. Always happy to chat, just tell more about what we're doing here and how we're growing.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kyle. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You betcha, man.
That was quick and to the point. I liked it. I
Yeah,
was
good.
really impressed how you've grown because I've spoken with a lot of brokerages and to grow that quickly is very impressive. So congrats to you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. It's been a roller